What's up, everybody? This is Morgan Flowerchild of Flowerchild Productions Incorporated, and you are watching Amplified Exposure Live with Teresa B. Let's get it.
Keep shining, let it shine, shine like a diamond. Keep shining, let it shine, shine like a diamond.
Good afternoon, Facebook. This is your girl, Teresa B, coming live and direct from Amplified Exposure Live. Today, I have my wonderful, dope guest, Chubb Rock. He's on here today to talk about past, present, and future. And he also came on today because he likes me. So for those of you that are out there in La La Land, TV Land, Roku Land, we're going to do this show. We got 30 minutes of fun, and I am so excited to finally meet him. Although we're in the same building with each other right now. We just decided to kind of separate the cameras so that you could have a good view of both of us. But I appreciate you, Mr. Chubb Rock, for coming on my show today. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. Thank you.
Good to see your face. Good to finally see your face. I've been trying to meet Chubb Rock now for 4 whole years, and we are just now making it happen. So I appreciate your time coming on here on Amplified Exposure Live. But let's jump right into it, because we already had a conference before the show.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm being educated, y'all. Chubb Rock, as you know, everyone knows he's a scholar. He is very educated and very, I call him strategic, because the things that I see him do and the things that he's been successful in, even outside of the music industry, has been phenomenal. So let's start from the beginning, because I read in a bio somewhere.
Now, like, if you're talking about, let's not go all the way to the beginning of music, and then let's get past that. I think everybody knows the songs. Let's go to the survival of now.
The survival of now. Well, I wanted to ask about, when you was in college, but we're going to go to the survival of now. Tell us about the survival of now.
Well, it's interesting when you start dealing with the effects of COVID in business, Black business, and how rough it is, especially radio business or audio business, but anybody that's doing podcasts or anything else. It's pretty serious stuff. I think this is the time when us as Black business owners have to kind of stick together and try to help each other. And I don't want you to think like I'm trying to skip over hip hop and the beginning and music and all of that stuff. I think people know a lot of that stuff, but I just find it at this point. I was talking to a couple of friends that are in the Black audio business as well. And they said the same thing, how do we all stay alive during this time? And the only way I see us staying alive is if we help each other, because it's rough out here for a Black business to survive.
It is.
And with my radio endeavors, that's what we try to do. We try to promote book writers who I'm sure are having it a hard time in their business. We try to promote Black-owned restaurants, hair salons and hair businesses. Anything Black, we try to promote, because it's hard out here, and it isn't like the administration. Yes, they're doing PPPs and all that, but only 2% of Black businesses are getting PPP. So, the reality to it is that we just have to survive. And I love hip hop, and we could do it again when we start and talk about hip hop in the beginning and all of that stuff. That's great. But for me, I think how we survive this together as Black businesses is a little more important, I think.
Yes, it is definitely important. We were just talking about that off camera, about the survival of COVID, even. Like, there's been so many businesses that have shut down just because of the pandemic. And we're trying to find ways on how to get those businesses started again. Investments and things of that nature is hard to find these days.
You know, it's
What about
interesting. Somehow, I did a story on my show today, a story I didn't know about a mom in California, Compton, California. Patricia, I can't remember her last name at the moment. I'll try to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And she opened up her first McDonald's in 1984. So then when you fast forward 30 plus years, her and her two daughters now own every McDonald's in Compton.
Oh, wow.
13 McDonald's franchises, and then they have 2 in LAX airport. Now, these are Black sisters, you know, and I thought it was incredible, man. It gave me so much energy to see that, you know. I mean, I think they're doing 50 million in revenue a year, and you never hear about these queens, like, ever.
Right.
Right. And if you Google it, there's anybody who's listening to us on Facebook, just Google it. You want to be inspired. You want to research this queen right here, right? Her family, her and her two daughters own every McDonald's in Compton, California, which is 13 McDonald's. No one owns anything else as far as McDonald's in that town. And that's what we all should be striving for.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to be striving for. And I think it's incredible. So, you know, how do we stay alive? And I think the only way is to stay alive together. You know, I was watching a video. I watch this show every week religiously called This Week in Radio Tech. I'm a radio tech guy. I love it like I love hip hop. And it was a story on there where an engineer, a white engineer, he wanted to buy a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't afford the radio station. So he literally got 40 friends of his, and they all chipped in and bought this radio station. Now, 40 people owning a radio station, everybody's not going to make a lot of money. But it wasn't about everybody making a lot of money. It's the fact that they now own it. And those kinds of examples is what we need to be doing. You know, what we need to be doing. If a sister says, hey, I want to be the only Black woman to own a beauty and supply place in whatever the town is, because not too many of them are owned by Black people. Mm-hmm. And if it costs $100,000 to start that, and she doesn't have $100,000, she should be able to go to a bunch of people that she knows, even some people that she might not know, and say, hey, we need to own this. Okay, well, I'll put up 1,000, or I'll put up 1,500, or I'll put up 2,000, and I'll do, and then we get it. And who knows, maybe allow her that as the business is taking over, she can buy everybody out.
Wow.
Right? So you helped her get something that we didn't have before.
Right.
And then as the business is building, she can buy everybody out. Hey, you put in 1,500, here's 2,500. Hey, you put in 1,000, here's 1,800. You know, because at the end of the day, it's how do we get it though? Mm-hmm. You know, and that's kind of where I am in my life at this point, is how do we, you know, assemble like Voltron and try to get certain things in our community as far as business and things of that nature. And because of COVID, there's not going to be a lot of jobs out here after COVID. Right. That word job might not exist really after COVID, you know, so it got to be entrepreneurship. And I don't know, that's just where my mind is at the moment.
Well, I am your new student, so I am willing to learn everything that's in your brain when it comes to entrepreneurship. We had a real good conversation, and one of the things I liked is that you have not only the experience, but you also have the connections of people who are willing to help other African Americans. So that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times, especially in the industry, you don't have that many people that really want to help out. Everybody's about their own brand and their own self. So kudos to you for being that spokesperson for African Americans to connect us to these different entities to help us with our businesses.
I mean, the main thing is, I think that we as Black people, we're in a space now where we realize that we have to be able to survive COVID, because for some reason we're always just, passed over, right?
Mm.
Because again, 2% of Black people got PPP, and obviously white people was 80 something percent. I think Spanish might have been 7 or 8, and then the rest was Asian and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So we're on the bottom of the totem pole,
Right.
So at some point we have to realize, like, wait a second, okay, we can't depend on certain things that should be in place for all people. So we got to be able to do it together, because there's no other way. It isn't
Right.
like, oh, there's another option, because I haven't seen it yet. So the only other option is if we are able to communicate with each other and figure out how do we keep businesses open, start new businesses,
Mm-hmm.
so we can have some kind of plan for the future, because you got so many people working from home, which will tell the corporations, hey, wait a second, there's no need for us to go back into a building structure. There's no need for us to have brick and mortar anymore, because we're getting almost the same amount of productivity of people staying at home. We don't have to pay you as much money anymore. We might
Right.
not even have to give you insurance anymore, because now we're saving money. And then if you don't like it, you can go kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? So, I've seen it. I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going, because of COVID. And, somehow we have to be able to figure out, how do we survive such a thing? Yes, you want to survive the disease, but the disease has other implications besides that disease, and I think Teresa is spinning around in there. But being that this is on Facebook, all my Facebook people, y'all know the deal. Y'all know the deal. We're trying to figure out how we stay alive. How do we pay for our kids, and what do we actually tell the kids on what to build? I remember back in the day, of course, it was go to college, get the degree, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you're getting a degree to what? Get a job? Or you're getting a degree so you can at least have all the other things you might need to start your own business? And I've got to believe that that's what it is. Because, man, as I've watched it, I've seen some nice businesses just close down while we were waiting for some kind of relief. When we were just in a stalemate during the Trump administration, and there was no real transition for the Biden administration, and now they have to play catch up because of all that wasted time. So, it's going to be very important on how we get to this place here, for all my people that write books, and everybody out there that wants to. I remember, I forgot who said it. It might have been Dr. Claude Anderson. He said, I don't care if you're going to bake cookies, put it in a box and sell it. You got to be able to go out there and find a way that every day you can make $1. And that's what I was raised on with my mother, a Jamaican woman that came to America 18, pregnant with me, but bought her first house at 26. So, because she did everything, drove a cab, was going to school at night. I mean, she was out there thugging it out there, because it was real. A lot of racism for, back then they wouldn't even rent to Caribbean people. You thought it was this, they wouldn't rent to Black people, but then they wouldn't rent to Black people. And if you're a Caribbean, to them, you were lower than Black people. So, but then those immigrants are the ones that are always starting their own business. And like my mother eventually had a bar and a restaurant in Brooklyn on Flatbush Avenue for decades. And it's an important situation. How do we get over that? Now, I think Teresa's having a technical issue here. I don't know if we got to log out and log back in. I have no idea. Telling you, man. If you would have known StreamYard and Zoom was going to be the way it is, we would have invested in those things way before the pandemic. Look what happened. I wonder if you can ask questions during this, or people could ask questions. We might have to do that one day on Facebook. So I think Teresa's having an issue. I'm going to see, do I need to log out and then we start again? Facebook, love you. It didn't pop in for you?
It did.
Okay. So you want me to go back in?
Yes. Sorry, it's raining hard in Georgia and we're having technical difficulties. Hopefully you can see both of us.
Yeah. But it's going to probably start that
Echo
thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Technology. Can you hear me? I guess you can't hear me. Hold on.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can? Hold on. Boy, this one is going to have to be edited because the storm is taking over the show. So where did you leave off, Mr. Rock?
We were talking about the survival of Black business.